Hey everybody, David Trungale here from TraderTours.com. We are looking at Scott McCarron. I filmed this today on hole 10 at University Ridge, and the more I look at this, the more I believe that, in my opinion, Scott has the best mechanics out in the Champions Tour. There are so many good things in the swing. I've studied it, and from the down the line view and the face-on view, I could only find one, maybe two things that are departure from the textbook. I mean, and who am I? I'm not Scott's coach. He could probably care less. But normally when I analyze a swing, whether it's myself or a student, I can find about 10 different faults, and then we work on one thing at a time. But this is about as good as it gets. So here we go. Check out the takeaway. Right up that plane line. Here's the hands and that club head staying nicely outside, but again, it's going up the plane. And I really like the pattern of what he has done here, where he has that shaft situated a bit vertical of the plane line, so it will set him up to make this Hogan-like shallowing move in transition. Same thing with Brooks Koepka or Vic Hovland, except I kind of like the swing plane better. It's simpler. His hands are lower, more compact. Just looks really crisp. The other thing that's something that great players do is he lowers on the way down with the head, and his hips will stay back, so that's an important observation. And as he continues to lower, his head is going to stay up against that yellow line. So this is not a case of early extension, of course. So if we draw our line at P5, we can see that, to me, that looks parallel to the original plane line. So classic swing shape of vertical to shallow. I love it. Now, on this particular shot, this is really about the only thing I could see. I really like this look where he's coming in not stuck, meaning, if I take my own game over the years, I've had problems where that club goes underneath the right forearm and I'm hitting a draw when I'm not intending to, and I miss fairways. But in this case, on this shot, if we take a look at this, right about, here, right about here, he is coming in on a slight out to in oriented path. And if you look at where his toe line was at address, it was aimed pretty straight. So he did actually, this is one of the few fairways he missed. What happened here, he came in, made beautiful contact, and if we watch this ball take off, it did something like this. It started a little bit, going up the middle, but then it cut back a little bit and it caught the right edge of the semi-rough. So really the only thing I could say here is if you're going to play a fade, it would make more sense to have the toe line set up more left so that it matches the plane on the way down. And that way the ball would have hit the center of the fairway. But, again, who am I to be critical here? That's about all I could find. Everything else is flawless. So let's take a look at the face-on view. Again, such a cool swing to study. Now, this is Scott on a separate hole. I believe he had a wedge into this par 4. I filmed him from the face-on view. So some superb mechanics here with the wrist hinge. We'll see some beautiful lag. Now, the only other thing that I will say, and I'm sure Scott has his reasons, and this is just, my 2 cents. I generally don't teach a pivot where the right leg becomes canted inwards like that. So this is a pretty centered pivot where I don't see that classic move, which you would see with, let's say, a Tiger Woods when he was working with Harmon or Hank Haney. I was watching Ernie Els. You'll see them load a little more into that right side. I did a Max Homa video recently. So this is sort of a centered pivot. And the reason why I drew that green line, and this works fine for Scott because his head, if I did this, my head would go with the transition on the way down as he shifts more weight left, and it would create a problem, but he's able to hold his head back And that looks to me about the optimal amount of shaft lean with the actual club. So again, the only other discernible observation would be, loading your weight right for your normal person. But again, Scott's not your normal person. We're looking at one of the best players on earth. So here we go, though. All sorts of awesome stuff to emulate. For one, let's start with this takeaway. This debunks the myth that your right elbow stays glued to the body. No, he has a nice wide takeaway like it should be. And then this is really ideal how he sets the club. So if we watch the pattern for wrist hinge, we don't see a ton of it here, but we're going to see more of it at left arm parallel and a heck of a lot more of it at the top. So you talk about lag, boom. So the idea here is that the wrist hinge is more and more and more. Let me get rid of these lines so there's not too many. There's more of it as the backswing progresses. Again, beautiful shoulder turn. And then even more so in the transition and downswing. So he has a heck of a lot more wrist hinge here than he did right here, if that makes sense. Again, textbook, superb looking swing. And again, there's that lateral advancement with the hips. So anyways, beautiful motion. The shot went right over the pin, right at it. I think it was just a distance thing. But again, probably my favorite swing out there on the Champions Tour. And, man, really fun to watch. So I'd like to see him win some more. I know he's had a phenomenal career. And that's Scott McCarron. I'm David Trungale. Send in your own swing to tradertours.com.